Well, so did you do an open house this past weekend?
I didn't. No, my ex got married, so and the kids and
Yes.
all that stuff. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing it.
So you've only done one?
I've done one.
Wow. And you had got a lead from it.
Oh, I got like
10 leads. How many people came through the house?
and I don't know that they're all going to work out because a lot of them were like, they were young people who were renting their, next door, and they're like, oh, my dad's an investor. He might want to do this. And so I'm trying to connect with them, but I'm not getting to the actual source. It's through the child, So some of them. But one of them was is the renter of the condo that I was showing.
Sure.
And I actually did on the spot. I did a buyer's presentation with him, and then he came and met with Sheila, and so that went well.
Excellent.
And he's not quite qualified, but he's working on it.
Well, and the nice thing about Sheila, honestly, is she will stay with them until they are. She's brought clients back to me years later. Yeah, where she calls and she'll go, do you remember such and such? I was like, no. So obviously I didn't stay in touch with them, but she brings them back to me. So if you do a lead with her, she will stay with it until they get whatever it is they have to work on for a long time, and she'll bring it back to you. She is just a sweetheart. Alrighty, do we have people on Zoom? So, anybody on Zoom?
Yeah, we got Raya, and I'm here to assist you as well.
Oh, wonderful. Well, Araya, we are just going to give it another 5 minutes. Otherwise, we'll just be you and I and Araya. A lot of people are out of the office today. One, it's Friday. And two, there's a funeral this morning for one of our agents. So a lot of them are at the funeral, I'm sure. That's what they were doing, the ones back there. Araya, how long have you been with Keller Williams?
Just over a year.
Oh, so for a while.
Yeah.
And how many open houses would you say you've done?
Oh boy. I don't know.
A lot?
Maybe like 15.
Oh, that's one a month at least.
Yeah.
And have you had success doing this?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I had a lot of success doing it. And then it's never been unsuccessful. I mean, you have the odd one where no one shows up, and that's just kind of a waste of your time, but it's never been a bad experience. So it's just funny, in the beginning, I was able to find clients that way, find buyers, and I've tried a lot of different things since then, having different sign-in sheets or not having a sign-in sheet, and just trying to get people's names and information. So I'm just interested in what you'll say in this class today.
Well, it's interesting you would say that, because I fluctuate also.
Mhm.
The sign-in sheet for me, it's just, so this is my 5th year in real estate, and most of my business comes from open houses. Geez, I would say 80% of it. Well, that's not so much true anymore, because I get a lot of referral. But anyway, the sign-in sheet for me is gone up and down. I don't like the feeling when they're annoyed with me for asking them to sign in. So when that happens enough times, I stop using it completely. But what I have found right now, in this moment in time, my feeling on the sign-in sheet is it gives you the opportunity. Well, the one I use, I brought an example of it, and I can email this to you. I don't know if Greg sent you our file on this. There's 7 different ones to choose from. This one I like a lot because it actually says on it whether or not they're working with an agent and how soon they're looking to buy. And if I get them to sign in when they first come in, whether they're happy to or not, they're going to check yes, they're working with an agent if they want me just to leave them alone, or they're actually working with an agent, which gives me an idea on whether I should just let them be and not ask any of my follow-up questions, other than, and for me too, this was a big revelation I got probably about a year ago, which is remembering that the first most important thing with our open houses is that we're trying to sell that person's house. And once I switched my mindset that I wasn't there to get get buyers or leads, But to sell that house, I started getting more listing appointments from my open houses. So you never know when they walk in the door if they're just pretending they're a buyer and interested to have conversation with you to see if you're still going to try to sell that house. Or they could be, a lot of them are the neighbors who are going to be talking to that seller. And so it's so important that no matter what, we don't ever try to steer them any other way or do anything else until we're absolutely certain they're not interested in that house. And so that was my big takeaway. And it really changed my whole mindset on it. And sure, there's open houses where nobody shows up or there's just no leads, which is really hard to believe. But there are, especially if on the days I don't use a sign-in sheet. I'm not good on follow-up. I don't stick to people. I mean, they're either ready to go to business now. And so I'm sure I've let a lot go.
Mhm.
But and there's waves. I think there's just waves. There's periods of time where you're going to get stuff and there's periods of time where you're just not. But as long as you go into it every week, this man walked into my open house last week. I've been one of those where it's been a couple weeks now. It's my listing and I haven't picked up a lead. And lost my train of thought what I was going to say about the man. Oh, sorry about that. It got me. But as soon as I thought it's my listing and I haven't sold it yet. I'm not accustomed to being on the market very long. I usually sell my listings in the first week. And so we're on week 3. Yes, it is. It's very fortunate. All right. Well, I guess we should just start because it is 9:42. Isn't this something? So remind me your name. Jenna's here. Do you know her? You should come up here where she can see you.
Okay.
Then when we all talk, you'll be close enough to the microphone. In fact, I'll give you the microphone. So Greg taught this class. Did you go to Greg's class by any chance? Jenna did. And she held an open house and had great success. So he asked her to come today and talk about her success for her open house. I was put her here.
Hi.
Hello.
So basically, since you've been doing this for a year, well, a lot of this stuff, I guess we're all just going to share with each other what we found that works. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds good. Sure.
And so you've taken the class twice.
I've taken it twice. Yeah, I think Greg did a good job. You were out of town, I believe. But yeah, I learned a lot. I took a lot of notes, and then one Saturday morning, Shoni texted me at 8 a.m. and he's like, Jenna, can you go do an open house right now? And I'm like, what? I'm a brand new agent. I don't know what I'm doing, right? I mean like 3 weeks new. Okay. So I said, sure, I'll do it. It was a condo in Vineyard, and I went and I took a little dish of Utah truffles and water bottles, and Shoni gave me some flyers and some little signs to put up that I put around the neighborhood. And then when I was there, nobody was coming. I was just kind of sitting there, and I cleaned up the condo. There's a single guy living there. So I did take a broom and dustpan. I took, I wiped things down. His
Good.
bathroom needed to be wiped down, and I swept up, and the carpet needed to be vacuumed, but I couldn't find a vacuum, so I swept it.
Good for you.
So sorry, put my gum in my mouth. Nobody was there. So I went downstairs. It was a 3rd floor condo. So I went downstairs and I just started talking to everybody in the parking lot.
Oh, good for you. I am really impressed. You have left the building and you're going out with like the lady with the sign that spins it.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so impressed.
So I just started talking to everybody and had, a few people come up and walk through. I got them to sign in. What I did is I had my KW app, and as I talked to them, they're asking me like, oh, so how's the market? How much is the condo? Blah, blah, blah. So I just told them, in my little spiel about what's going on in the market right now. And then
Tell us your spiel. What's going on in the market right now?
okay. So I talked, I was in a class with Josh Romney not too long ago. And what he said is that the market is, I mean, we have a housing shortage of 50 to 70,000 homes in Utah right now. And so we have a growth rate in Utah County of 39%. And in the rest of Utah, it's not far behind that. So we really have a supply and demand problem with housing right now. And so in addition to that, building permits are down. People are not, the builders are not pulling as many building permits. So we're going to have more of a problem as we move through the year. And he predicts that the interest rates will come down over the next couple of years because of political and economic reasons. And so this is an excellent time to buy because you get the prices while they're still low. He predicts they're about to go up. And, we're starting to see multiple offers again and things like that. I'm not seeing the prices go up a lot right now, but, multiple offers. So, but he thinks up into in the summer and fall, the housing prices will rise as the inventory drops more. So anyway, that, and then I'm better at saying it to a client than to y'all.
I think you're doing great. It's so important to have talking points because it gives you that extra couple of seconds with the client, with the potential person.
Yeah.
It gives a value.
Right.
Because they're people who come to our open houses they're going to other open houses that day.
Yeah.
They're going to be in front of lots of different realtors. So it makes you stand out.
Yeah.
As long as you find whatever you can connect with them. That was all really good information.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I tell people every time, like right now, that's kind of what I tell people about real estate. Everybody I talk to, everywhere I go, the grocery store, my neighbors, I go to, parties, singles parties, or just things like that. Everybody's like, oh, what's going on in the market? And that's what I tell them. And so, but then what I do is I immediately say, well, would you like to stay in touch? Are you interested in having more information, or are you interested in, do you have any real estate I could help you with? And so I pull out my KW app and I give them my digital business card.
Excellent.
And they just scan me, and then I say, yeah, just text me real fast and I'll send you this app and you'll be able to have access to the market real time, and we can connect and everything. And then you'll be able to know, what's happening in the market. And I'd be happy to help you with any questions you have. So that's kind of what I do. And I picked up about 10 people that way at that open house.
10 people in the parking lot.
Yeah, 10 people in the parking lot.
I love this. See, had you sat inside and waited for him to come in.
I talked to probably 20, but
that's good. 50%'s good.
Yeah. And then okay, so the guy who was renting that condo, he didn't own it, but he was renting it. When he came back, he's like asking me about, so, tell me what's going on in the market. And so I just sat down. I actually had my binder with my buyer's presentation with me. I brought it to the open house. And so I sat down and gave him a buyer's presentation, and he was all excited. He's like, wow, really? You think I could own a house and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I really want to, but he's a photographer. And so it's really difficult with his, to prove his income and, things like that. So, I had him meet with Sheila, a lender. I don't know. So is it Araya? What is your name? Sorry.
It's
anyway.
Raya.
Raya?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Raya. Awesome. I don't know if you know Sheila, but she's a lender in the office.
Sheila works upstairs at First Colony.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, I had him meet with Sheila, and she said, he's not quite qualified, but she gave him some things to work on, and he's going to be working on it, and he's excited to progress toward buying a house. So that was a lot of fun, just having that experience, and then going out and collecting my signs in this rainstorm and things like that afterwards. But
especially Vineyard too, because like it's so much wind, and
yes.
You're lucky if you had any of your signs still up.
Oh my goodness, it was windy and rainy, but yeah, it was a really great experience. And I'm still in touch with that one guy. There were several other people. There was a couple from Idaho. They were helping their son move into one of those condos that day. And I said, hey, well, why don't you just buy him a condo and then he'll pay you rent? And
Oh,
know?
that was good too.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I stayed in contact with them for a few days and they're like, yeah, we have this I don't know, I can remember the I bond or something that we can cash out and maybe we should buy something. I don't know. We might buy here, we might buy over there, but I really bonded with them and they loved me. And they're like, oh my gosh, we definitely want to use you. So I just, I followed up with them over the next few days. I need to follow up with them again.
Have you sent them anything to look at?
I haven't.
So this is
I
the
need to
most
do that.
important thing.
Okay.
Within, I figure when you meet somebody on a Saturday,
Mhm.
you have till Monday or Tuesday to send them a listing.
Oh,
Because this is
okay.
better than saying, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Just send them something that, and you have to preview them all. Don't put them on. Worst thing, in my opinion, you can do is put somebody on that Utah real estate, send them listings.
really?
Oh,
Ooh.
it sabotages you. And I'll tell you what, send
Oh my
yourself a
goodness.
copy too,
Okay.
and you'll see the garbage that they send out. It doesn't matter what you
Wow.
put for the criteria.
Yeah.
It's going to send them stuff that I wouldn't send to any of my clients unless I guess they were an investor and they were going to gut the place.
Yeah.
You want to only send them the best of the best.
Okay.
So then you're giving them a value of, so they don't have to come through all the stuff. So I always set my listing alert up with their name and send it to me.
Okay.
And then it comes in as an express.
Okay,
So I'm
yeah.
on top of it before they can see it.
Oh.
And then as they come in during the day, I check my emails all day long,
Mhm.
open them up, look at it. If it's good, then now I like it best if let me send them to their phone, but some people prefer it being sent to their email. So if it goes to the email, I forward it. It's already come to me.
Mhm.
But now I want to change the subject line. So I'll forward it to myself again, but change the subject line. I'll send it from the MLS program.
Mhm.
And one client I do this a lot with, I send him how many miles to Park City it is because he's looking for an investment property.
Mhm.
Another client, this client took me over a year of sending him from the time that he said, could you find us something? And sometimes I would go months with no response to my emails that I would send him with the listings.
Mhm.
He bought a $1.6 million house from me almost a little over a year later. All of a sudden they were ready to buy. And
Woo.
we started looking. I showed him like 3 properties he bought. We sold that 1.6 million. He's now bought a 2.6 million in Vineyard.
Nice.
And he just gave me a lead last night for a $4 million house. So I had all those came from a chance meeting with him. And he said, can you? Now he said in that year, he talked to lots of realtors and a lot of different realtors just faded away because he wouldn't answer the text or he wasn't commenting on them. But I always just wrote a little note. This one has whatever it was he liked. I put it in the subject line.
Oh.
And if you go to Google and look up Colleen Christensen Realty, you'll see he's my very first review. When I switched my company name, I had him review me first. And he's standing in front of that $2.6 million house in Vineyard. He wasn't looking in Vineyard, by the way, either. He was looking only in Draper and Lehigh, but I stretched him when I put on the alert. Because I figured if I could find that house that he wanted with all the things he wanted, he would consider driving a little further. So he drives now to Salt Lake,
Wow.
the airport.
From Vineyard.
From Vineyard. And he's been a great referral source now for me. So the point is get something for them to look at.
Yeah.
And it's just a way to check in with them all the time without saying, hey, it's me again.
Yeah.
I'm not good about that. Because
Yeah.
what if they don't answer?
Right. I
And then you
know.
think
I've
they don't
had
want to
that-
talk to you
I've
anymore.
had that problem. So I'm really good at, doing that process I just told you, but then I'm like, what do I do after that? How do I follow up? How do I
That's
keep
how you
them
do it.
engaged?
Find out what they're interested in and then
Okay.
just send them listings. Because I don't even like going in when I first start with a client and having to go through whatever's been available and go through 20 pictures. It's time consuming,
Mhm.
nor do they.
Yeah.
So if you can be that middle person for them, and especially if you have it come to you as an express alert,
Yeah.
you're looking at 2 or 3 for that person a day. It's nice because you're thinking about them during the day too.
Mhm.
I think a lot of stuff comes from efforts.
Yeah.
A lot of times, but
That makes sense.
honestly, that's been my way. And I have the one guy, the investor for Park City, he's not responding. Once in a while, he'll say thank you to my email. So I know he's appreciating it.
Yeah.
He's just not here right now. He's just not engaged yet, but he likes to see him pop in. So that's my little note for that. If you want, I'll go through what I'm going to flip through my little book because I have several things that have worked for me. I don't think we'll stick to the program. Ray, have you taken the open house class already?
The Ignite one, no.
Oh, well then, would you like to go through the book, then the lesson, actual lesson? Or would you just like me to summarize I have notes on each part, which basically will tell you what I found to be successful. And I would love for both of you to, well, you to, in the future, to tell me what's working for you.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the benefit of going to Ignite, and I still go to Ignite 5 years later because different people teach it. And I don't know, I left KW after my first year because my sister was at a flat rate brokerage. It was iPro at the time. I was there for 2 years, and then Greg and I were partners over at iPro, and he had never been through Ignite. And I was forever saying to him, when I was at KW, one of the classes I took, and then, you know, and I just knew he would do so much better if he came over here and got the training too.
Yeah.
So I think everybody in real estate has, they call it tricks in my bag. I had one guy tell me he thinks that I'm better than any realtor, and he knows all of his friends are realtors, but I have more tricks in my bag. And I thought, yeah, I just go to a lot of different classes and pick those up. KW, it just rocks on training. My first year in real estate, I sold 13 homes. 8 of them were from open houses.
Wow.
I'll tell you another really crazy stat I saw this morning. So I had this listing. I will open house my listings until they sell. Luckily, my listings haven't gone very long. So I did have in my first year of real estate, I had a listing that went 2 months. So I was at their house every Saturday, 2 months, because I never wanted them to feel like I wasn't doing everything possible to sell their house, especially when I'm asking for price drops.
Yep.
So and this one that it's going on 3 weeks, it's in Cedar Hills. It's a phenomenal townhome. We staged it. It's clean. It's priced lower than the other two in the development by almost $20,000.
Wow.
And we're just not getting a lot of action. It's the strangest thing. I just don't know. I think a lot of people don't know where Cedar Hills is.
What's it priced at?
480.
Well, I might have a buyer for you.
There you go. See how this works. I will send it to you.
Okay, send
It's-
it to me.
It's phenomenal. It's right next to Harvey Park. It's 3 miles from the entrance to American Fork Canyon, and
Wow.
it backs right up to the trails, the Murdoch trails.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it's like, it's a dream.
nice.
Yep. And there's 2 for sale that are very similar to mine, square footage, everything in there. They don't look as nice as this one. And one's at 496 and one's at 490 something else. So she has been dealing with cancer, and she's just
Oh.
ready to start someplace else soon.
tough.
So we priced her to sell.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll see what I can do. I have a few buyers I'm working with.
This is absolutely phenomenal. Here you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so for myself, the most important thing, and this is on page 7, 9 in the lesson, is mindset. Especially if it's a slow open house, it's really hard to keep the mindset good when nobody's shown up. And I can't tell, I don't close down my open houses until at least the ending time. At least 5 minutes after really is better, because so many people will show up
Yeah.
at 10 after or 15 after. I always go show up. I actually got a sale from showing an open house after I was already starting to click my signs. And I actually went back and turned on the lights, and I got a sale from it. It was an unrepresented buyer. So you never know where it's coming from. And you got to stay good. Otherwise you're not going to connect. You only have that 1 second to connect with them. I put out a lot of signs, not as good as I used to be. I used to put out 20 signs.
Woo.
Now I'm back to having more, down to 10.
Yeah.
My theory has always been, my signs have my picture on it, my phone number, my name, everything there. I spent money on my signs.
Nice.
And I think it identifies you to people in the neighborhood. I think people get used to seeing you. I think especially when you're starting out, and you're doing other people's listings. This is a way for you to stand out because your name's not on the sign when they walk in. But man, they just saw you 20 times around the town. I've sold quite a few houses from people following the signs in. So I know the signs are that important.
Yeah.
Probably 4 families on my Saturdays I've done so far, the 2 other open houses on my listing. And 2 of them of the 4 came in because of the signs. So I would have had 2 people that day.
Wow.
So that's the mindset. Oh, and then when I pick up my signs, and it's really hot and it's raining and it's windy, I will tell myself in my mind that this is good. This is I'm gonna get clients from this. This is a good thing. I had a guy stop one day and ask me for my business card. It was years ago, so I'm guessing at this point it's not going to turn into something. I shouldn't have said that. Of course it's going to. One of these days I'm going to get a call from that guy.
Yes.
And he was so impressed because my signs were all over town. I try to smile at the cars driving by at the intersections when I'm waiting for the light to turn, because again, they
Your
see
face is out there.
That's
That's
right.
smart.
you're building a brand, you're
Oh my
building
goodness.
somebody to be, get used to seeing you. So if they ever interview you again, they're gonna say to you, I know you. I said, I get this a lot. Yeah, I know you. How do I know you? Probably because I see my open house signs around town.
That's awesome.
That's the reason I put my picture on it. Not because I want my picture on it, but my picture's on my for sale sign
Yeah.
and my house signs because I want to connect. And I just think, in my opinion, a picture connects you to somebody.
Yeah,
Just-
you're building a presence.
And it's nice if the picture somewhat looks like.
Yeah, it's true.
I've had to change my picture recently.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my examples. This is just this past year. I had a client that I got, let's go back to when I was on Angie Fisher's team for 3 months. I learned more in that 3 months. I can't even begin to tell you, but it was a sign call. So she sent me out to show them. They didn't want to buy that house. And I showed them houses for almost a whole year. And they bought a house. I resold that house a few years later. And in that open house, a guy he put in an offer for his kids. He was not the winning offer. Greg stayed in touch with him. And we ended up listing his house a few months later. At that open house, we had an unrepresented buyer come through
Oh,
so we split and we each I represented the seller, he represented the buyer, and then they had a house to sell. At their open house, no, we did not. That person had an agent. The parents, their mom, a couple months later, decided to sell her house and needed to downsize. So from that one sign call, we got 7 deals
wow.
within 2 years. I was at a golf tournament. When I first got into real estate, I moved here from California. I didn't have anybody here for an SOI. I mean, I would sit through Ignite and they talk about SOI. I would think, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? So I started volunteering at anything that there was. So I ended up getting on Provo City School District's board. And I did
Nice.
that for years, didn't get anything. But I was at a golf tournament one day and sat at a table. Real estate's easy to talk about when you're out doing stuff. If you're out doing
Oh,
open
yeah.
houses, now you have a real estate conversation. Somebody you met, something will come up. And the second they know that I'm selling real estate, they have questions to ask. Everybody wants to know, how's the market?
Yeah.
Great response
Yeah.
that you have, how the market is. So I ended up, she said, I have a house in Mono. Is that too far for you? I said, no. So she called me about 2 or 3 months later. I listed her house, unrepresented buyers. Okay, man, they fought for it. I didn't think they were going to get it, but they did. We had multiple offers on that house. So, and they needed to list their house. And then at their house listing, we picked up another unrepresented buyer who bought that house.
Woohoo.
So there you go. That was 4 from that one. And my last big story for my example today is the Ray brothers. This was the very first time I ever did an open house with Greg. And so we met in a Sprouts parking lot in Salt Lake. And we were putting balloons on our signs and splitting them up because we were going to go half and half. And this man drove up to us and asked if we sold real estate. And he said him and his brothers wanted to buy a house on the same street. That's 4 sales. Took us 2 years to finally get those people. But we sold 4 houses to them. We listed one of their houses. And then an unrepresented buyer came into that, bought that house that we were at that day. So we get quite a few listing and unrepresented buyers that come in. I don't give any preferential treatment to unrepresented buyers. They have to be the top offer. I usually have my clients' permission to say what the offers are so people know where the mark is to be. And so you come in and you can beat you can be the best offer. And knowing full well that I'm going to tell the other offers where it is, you can be the last one standing. It's not so much the case anymore. You're not seeing 5, 6, 7. This first example I gave you, there was 38 offers on that house.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. So anyway, that one was 6 on that. And there's example after example from that. Just people coming in. I have sold quite a few houses of people following the signs in. They were thinking about buying a house, weren't actively looking, which means they don't have a real estate agent in most cases. The minute they say that, the minute they say they follow the signs, I'm like, score. Because those are almost always the ones that that can be converted.
Yeah.
They're not out actively looking at open houses, so
Mhm.
those are good ones. So a lot of the business comes from that. People following the signs in, or in Utah in particular, I have found people don't like to be represented for some reason. They think they're going to get a better deal out of the seller, and
Right.
so
Yeah, they're DIYers and they're cheap.
yes,
In Utah are very cheap. So.
yes. So listings help. Oh, doing an open house on it definitely helps. Because I've sold so many houses from people following in the signs, people who say that listings are not sold off of open houses, that's because they haven't done it. They don't know. Because I'm telling you, for positive, I can show you the numbers.
Yeah.
It does make a difference. Choosing an open house. Rhea, are you doing mostly your own listings at this point, or are you doing other people's listings?
No, I'm on a team, so it's other people's listings. Sometimes my team, sometimes other people.
Whose team are you on?
Ashley Jensen.
Ashley, I live in Provo. So Ashley is pretty much the Provo lady. In
Oh,
Provo,
okay.
yes. Lots of people know Ashley.
I don't know if I met her.
Yeah, she is a rock star. How fortunate. So she's probably given you tons of stuff. You could probably teach this class, I'm guessing.
No.
So tell me what's worked for you.
Let's see what has worked. So the most successful open house I had was there was a house that was for sale in my neighborhood. And what did I do? I think I went to an open house there and I met the agent that was selling it and just told him, hey, I live in this neighborhood. If you ever need someone to show the house for you, or if you need any help with anything, let me know. And lo and behold, he ended up doing, I think, 3 open houses on that house. And for the last one, he was sick. So he called me and said, and I was a brand new realtor. And so he called me and said, could you do this open house for me? And of course, I was happy to do that. I know this neighborhood, I know that house. So that was the most successful because I really knew so much about the neighborhood and I love my neighborhood. And so I did find a buyer for that house at that open house.
I just whispered to her mindset. You know, that was the 4th open house on that house. A lot of people would tell you that it's over. How many people came through your open house?
Oh, I think 10. Like 10.
On the 4th one. Well, that just kills everybody's preconceived notions on this. 10 people. Isn't that something on the 4th open house? Wow. And what did you do anything? Did any of the people come in from something different than just seeing it on the web?
Just signs, like you said. I've never had 10 though, so I could definitely step up my game. And with Ashley, we don't have our faces on signs. So I also do real estate in St. George, and I noticed there that everyone has nobody uses the generic open house signs that I do. They all have their face on them. And I had talked to Ashley about that. I was like, I've never seen this before where everyone has their face on their sign. So that was interesting to hear you talk about that.
Yeah. Well, and you know, if you're gonna look at just anything I can refer to, I haven't gotten anything specifically from the sign, but that day's coming. I know that day's coming, and it just takes one. I mean, and I made $20,000. Those signs paid off. It may take me 5 years to get them to pay off, but that would be okay with me.
But it is really nice to know who's going to be in the house. I don't know. You look at the sign and you know who's doing the open house, and it helps you remember them better, having that visual.
Absolutely. Well, and then you just corrected me when you said that, because there's lots of people that walk into the open house and go, oh, I know who you are. I just followed your signs all the way in. If it didn't have my picture on it, they would have never. So see, now I've got a connection to them before they even walked in the door.
Right.
Yes, that's great. I'll have to keep that in mind. I just have to think of that. Yes, good. Well, I'm ordering new signs today too. This is when I get done here. That's where I'm headed to.
Where do you get your signs?
I've always got him from Goody, and he did a good job. When iPro became Fathom, he got the exclusive contract to do that, and it was probably 1,000 signs. So I had some we came to KW at the same time. Greg and I did not become part of Fathom. And so he messed up on my order and he didn't make it right. So anyway, I'm trying a new guy today and he's in American Fork. I'll let you know how it works out, but he's got really good reviews.
Yeah, let me know.
So
'cause
I'm gonna go.
I need to get signs. So,
Yes, I will show you. Oh, this might be in my car. That's too bad. I'm going to show you my new. Well, I'll show it to you. I can send it to you guys. My new design sign, my open house. I don't think I have it on my phone to even show you either. That's too bad. That was embarrassing. Oh, there you go. Well, this is the mock-up. Almost done.
ooh, cute. I love it. Wow.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I had a Fiverr design this for me. And what I learned, can you see that? What I learned from Fiverr is it worked better when I wrote all over what I wanted fixed. We had gone back and forth and she kept correcting the wrong thing. And so finally my husband goes, just write on the side, Colleen. So I printed it out and I wrote on it and it's perfect now. I really like it. So my husband always says, my husband was an editor for magazines. He always goes, what's the most important thing on your sign? Your phone number. So always make sure your phone number is really big on your sign because that's what they're going to be reading when they're driving by or stopping.
Oh, I love that. I don't know if I should say this because we're being recorded, but I watch a lot of these recordings, and what I would love is if they could make you be the focus instead of right now, today's agenda is the focus. So
Yeah.
it makes you be really tiny. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
so
Oh, so
I don't know if
that this
Oh.
screen.
guess you'd have to stop sharing is what you'd have to do.
Oh.
I don't know if they let you, but if you stopped sharing your screen, then I could see your phone better and your faces.
Send me your just tell me. I wrote your name down on here already. Okay, what's your phone
My
number?
email or on my phone number.
Either one, whichever way you prefer to. do it.
Yay. Yeah, it's 801-900-0762.
0762. Oh, that's a good phone number. I will send you it. I have it. I'm going to work on it after the class today, so you'll get it here in just a little bit. And Jenny, I have your phone number, right? You just sent you something?
I just sent you, I gave you my email, but I can give you my phone number as well.
Go ahead.
720-940.
So this is one of my favorite things to do is before I go into an open house, I will sit in front of the location I'm at, especially if I'm doing somebody else's open house, and pull up Utah Real Estate's app, do search for sale nearby, and then filter it so it shows you the under contract too. And then you can know really easily, you guys may know how to search this on Utah Real Estate before you even get there. I've never been able to get it down to a couple blocks. Long time ago in California, many years ago, I was in real estate just a couple of years, and I was at an open house and they asked me what else. This house doesn't work for me. What else is really close by? We want to live on the street. And I didn't know. And I learned the lesson that day that I have to know what else is available in the next few streets. If somebody asks that question, it is vital. And just take a screenshot of it. Pull up what's for sale nearby or under contract, because you can talk about that too. That shows value of that house. And screenshot it. So you have it where you can pull it up really quick. And they will think you are the smartest realtor for such an easy thing. That was one of my.
That's a good idea because when I was doing my open house with that condo, they were asking me, so how is it priced compared to other condos in here? And I knew because I had looked at it, but then I tried to pull it up on the app. And
No,
for
it'll
some
never come
reason-
up at that moment.
Oh, it
Ever.
will not come up like the internet stopped because the storm was coming in or something. And I'm like, I can't get it to pull up. And I'm like, believe me, it's 20,000 less than the others. And the other ones have purple walls with sequins
Screenshot
on
it.
them. And this one is fantastic. So
Yep. Always
yeah,
screenshot.
I love that idea.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. The only thing you have to remember when you screenshot all the time is to go in and clean out your phone. You use a lot of
I
space
could
in
do
your
that
phone.
too.
Also, another thing I found really helpful, and this gets a little bit more tricky if it's somebody else's listing, but have the owner available via phone, because there's going to be questions. I always tell when they're my person, and even if I do it for somebody else, I try to get the agent, if the agent will let you have the phone number, so you can text the owner questions.
Mhm.
And it's even preferable for me if the owner doesn't answer right away, because now I get to get their phone number. And I will never send people stuff. I just won't. If they don't want, if they want to deal with me, it has to be known. But now I've made a connection no matter what, that I'm responsible and I follow up on their question. And so my thought always is I would check in with them in like a week or two if they're not working with somebody else and say, are you still looking? Would you like me to send you something? Because some people, it just doesn't feel like it's a good time to connect as they're walking out the door, or they, they have that, leave me alone. I got my wallet. And so if I was good at doing that, I think that I'd pick up business. I usually, though, I have really bad ADD. So I mean, if it's not in front of me and ready to go right now, and as you get older, then you start forgetting some more things. So now I have to write stuff down on my calendar, and I probably should just put that on the calendar because I think that would be very effective.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Owner available. I thought something else right when I said that too. So because they're going to ask so many questions in the open houses, I'm sure you both already found that you just don't know the answer to.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just nice just to say, I could find out for you, and would you like me to text you as soon as I have the answer? And then just send it to them. And then they're not waiting, and they got the information they wanted. So that works out good.
I also had an agent brought some clients through, and I believe they ended up buying the house. But she was asking me all these questions, like how much is the HOA, and just different things. And I'm like, oh, let me find out for you, And I feel like if I had time that morning, which I didn't, which is fine. Like I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to do the open house, but I didn't really have a lot of time to study the area. But I think it's actually, you can take half an hour and study the area and know your stuff and study the listing really well, so you know what's on the listing. Square footage and just all the different things.
Have it in your pocket. Print, this one I'm messing with for the first time this morning. My husband, once again, Mr. Editor, I said to him, honey, this sheet, this is for my listing. I'm going to tomorrow. I didn't like, I wrote so much stuff on it trying to talk about the three areas it's next to, that it prints on the back side. And so it's driving me nuts. I don't like that. So today I messed around, and there is an actual client, not full report, but this is the smaller report, but then it's only a half a page. Well, I put it in my just regular Adobe and used edit, and I just started messing around and moving all the columns, and look, I made a cute little sheet, and it shows my presented by. This works out really well, and it's not your listing. Now it looks like it's your listing. Really, the listings aren't ours, just to be clear. They belong to KW. We're just the agent that's been chosen by that client to handle the listing. So this seems to work out really well. So this will be my new thing I will do, especially if it's not my listing. And even after 5 years, if I didn't have anything going on right now, I would absolutely go work somebody else's listing, because I know I would have something else going on if I went and did that. Everybody finds their own niche on how to find business. And not everybody's good at different things. That's what's really cool around here. You'll hear a lot of different ideas. This just happens to be one that works for me. There are many, many, many open houses though I walk away from, and it didn't work. And that's always fine with me, because I know that I only have to do so many more and it's going to work. And luckily our paydays are big enough that I can go through 4 in a row and not walk away with a deal. But on that 5th one, and sometimes it might be 10, and then I'll get a deal on each one for a while. So it all works out. And you just have to keep telling yourself that, because it does. Especially if you go with a good attitude, especially if you know your stuff in the neighborhood, drive around. Another nice thing to do if you have access to the owner is ask them what their favorite thing is about their house. What have they enjoyed the most? And those are my talking points with the person that walks in the door. I point out 2 things. Look at this, some people have those things in the kitchen where the thing completely pulls out, or something nice that you can point out. And then I tend to get out of people's way. I am definitely the kind of realtor that lets people be. I always wanted my realtor to stop talking to me so I could think if my couch was going to fit in this room, or do I like this house? Do I feel connected to it? And I couldn't do that when she was talking about the darn elm tree in the back she had at her house, or growing up, or whatever it was. I just wanted her to be quiet. So that's how I show a house. I back off. I welcome them, tell them something really cool about the house, point out a few things, and then ask them, would you like the guided or the unguided tour? Or if you have any questions, come back to me. Some people actually want a tour. They want you to take them around. Majority don't. They want to show it themselves. I will try to not place myself anywhere in the room where they're looking. And if it's a small townhome, it's difficult, but I try to get out of their line of view so they can visualize that room. Does that make sense? Nothing worse than having somebody sitting at the dining room table and you're trying to visualize whether you like the kitchen. No matter what, watch the person. If you do that, they will not be able to look at the dining room table area. They'll flit, their eyes will move around because you're in their line of view. So if you just step out of the room for a second and let them have that moment, it's a better chance of them connecting to that house, which I remind myself all the time is the number one goal. I only have to remind myself that if it's not my listing. If it's my listing, I have that really clear in my head. We need to sell this house. I don't do this often enough anymore. The busier I get, the less I do the door knocking. But even if you only door knock the 6 houses around your house, it now gives you a connection to some of the neighbors. And people love to hear that. I was talking to such and such, or I talked to the lady here, and she said blah, blah, blah about the kids or the neighborhood or whatever. Again, it's a genuine conversation.
That's what I did when I was talking to people in the parking lot. And then I was able to tell other people, so, the neighbors here are amazing. Like I've really been impressed with kind of the vibe in the neighborhood. And I was talking to a lot of college kids and, 20-year-olds, kids in their 20s and stuff. And it's like, yeah, this is a really cool place to hang out. Like there's all these activities and amenities. And I learned that by talking to people in the parking lot.
Yeah, if you can do that, I'm definitely going to be door knocking before my open house tomorrow. Mostly because this townhome complex doesn't allow signs on the ground.
Ooh.
Yes, I don't think half the people there, most of the people there even know that we're on the market. So shame on me for being on week 3 and haven't done it. The next part of the lesson, talks about being safe. I don't follow people around or put myself in it when I'm in. I work by myself. Although a lot of times I take a lender. Rhea, have you worked with a lender in your open houses?
Nope, I've always gone by myself.
Okay, so if you can find a lender that, and I only know of one at this point, Sheila. Have Sheila if you want to try it. But really it depends on how it sets up, I'm sure, on your team on who the lender is you work with. I have another, Sheila was supposed to be down here today. She may have gone to the funeral. I have another lender that I work with a lot, but he doesn't do open houses. And I can tell you without hesitation that I've gotten 4 or 5 deals through having Sheila at my open houses. I used to do all my open houses with her. She stays on top of people for years, brings them back to me, which that one led me to 2 other deals. And it's an interesting dynamic when people come in and they have that wall up because they're going to so many open houses and all the realtors want to get their business, and so they have like a shield up. They'll go by and Sheila will engage them. She's just really good at conversation. If any lender though, if you can get them to engage them at some point about do you have your financing in order, then they're still a little standoffish. But then if they talk about rates, you can almost see them shift their body weight, settle down, and want to hear about her rates or what she can do. Would you like a second opinion? She says a lot of times. I think it's very good for people to get 2 opinions on lenders. Lenders usually have the price that they'll quote, and then there's their competing price. If somebody just does enough homework just to go get a competing offer, they can usually get a better offer from the lender. I try not to say that in front of Sheila too many times because it sure drives her nuts. It gets into her margins. But that's just the facts. And that's a long time you're gonna make those payments for. But the point is, if you have a lender there, people will stop and talk to her because she has information that they want versus they don't think I have anything to offer them. And somehow in that conversation she's having with them, she can now she will ask them if they're working with anybody, and then she will sing my praises. And so suddenly they're willing to talk to me. And some of my clients I've had for 4 years now, and then gotten several referrals came with Sheila at those open houses. Now I've tried other lenders. I haven't found one that's good at talking. I have one that just sat in the darn chair the whole time. It was like, seriously, All you are is in that, I don't like people to be in the room again.
Mhm.
And it was right there in the middle of my room. It's like, get off, get out, go over there. So that didn't work out. I have several lined up right now that I'm gonna try. Because again, I know I need to have, it benefits me, brings me more business if I have a lender there with. So,
So if I could just speak to safety real fast, that was a huge concern of mine. I'm 5'3", I'm kind of a petite person and I'm a little nervous. As I was coming into this, I'm like, it was scary. And when I was doing that open house, a very large man, who's probably 6'4", 400 pounds, lived in the neighborhood and wanted to come up and see, I was downstairs in the parking lot and he wanted to come up and see it. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're not interested in buying the house. This is making me nervous. So what I did is I went and opened the door for him and I let him walk through and I stayed at the door with the door open and I watched him as he walked around. But I did not go in. I just stayed out there because I couldn't get Sheila to be there with me. I tried, but it was so last minute. So, but yeah, I think Dean taught me that, he said, oh, let's go into the other room. And I went and I walked through the door and he's like, I'm behind you. I could knock you on the head and you're done. And so I've learned from that experience never to walk through a door first. Obviously you should be polite and open the door for them. But every single time I walk through a door with a client or with someone at an open house now, I open the door for them and I let them walk through. I don't ever let them walk behind me.
yeah, I don't think if somebody told me they wanted a guided tour and my gut was telling me there was a problem, I wouldn't give them a guided tour. I only had one instance in all these years, and I do a lot by myself.
Yeah.
Where he wanted to go down to the basement and he wanted me to come show him something in the basement, and I just knew not to. And so I just did it. I just told him I needed to stay upstairs by the door. I usually have my front door open, just because I think it's more inviting for people, unless it's really hot or there's a lot of flies, and at which time the door's shut. But I mean, I'm standing out of the way anyway, so I can be standing by the slider or the front door, and rarely do I follow people around the house. So I'm not young and cute, so I probably don't have as much of a threat as you do
No,
now, but
unfortunately.
trust your instincts always. And that's, I haven't ever gotten any straight. I bet you Ashley could probably tell you, she's been doing this for so long. She probably has some instances where it just didn't feel right, or because you get a lot of weird texts from scam people. And I know there's stories out there that people have gone to show properties, empty houses. I did have my kids follow me once. It was too good to be true story. It was from out of town. Wanted me, and it was a vacant house, wanted me to meet them, show them, didn't have a realtor. And so we were supposed to be doing something anyway, which always is when I get showings. Whenever I book my family to go do something, and my kids can't, they heard it again yesterday from me. We were supposed to be at the water park, and at the last second, that's when the $4 million referral came in. And yeah, sorry. I'm dealing with these people right now. But I had them follow, and they stood outside in their car just in case. And he knew how many minutes it should be, and it turned out fine. I sold him the property. So, you don't know. We just have to trust our guts. That's all. And how hard is it to ask somebody to go and sit with you, if you don't feel good about it? Okay, so and then we've talked about this over and over. My first sale came from sitting in a brand new build 3 times in a row with no furniture on the floor. Not a single person came through. 3 times. On the 4th time, it was an unrepresented buyer. It was my first sale, and it was a $700,000 house. So, and they followed the signs in.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, you don't give up. You just persevere. Efforts paid off. Yours going out in the parking lot will always pay off. Peter Markle said to me one time, the reason that I'm successful at open houses is because I perform at a high level. I don't know that that's true at all. I put out 20 signs. It takes me 2 hours. At the time, that's what I was doing. And I think that is rewarded. I think that, just the effort was rewarded. I don't think I have special lines. I think yours is much better that you were doing earlier. I just connect. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of somebody else that's really good at that. You could probably do a lot better. But what's meant for me is mine. And I just always figure they come to me. If they want me to do it, it just works out. But they have to make a little bit of an effort. And I made enough money. So, for me, it works.
I have two questions.
Okay. Yes.
Is this a good time?
Sure. Anytime's a good time.
Okay, so one is with what you're just saying, you put out 20 signs. So I would love to know how that works for you. So I actually put the time on the open house sign. So it says like 7 to 9 or whatever my open house time is. And then I go put them out before the start time. But often, as soon as I put those signs out, people are like waiting at the house to get in.
So I work my way
Signs out.
I work my way in. I never put them near the house till the end. So they could follow my signs, but they're going to get to a dead end. I think twice ever I've had somebody call me from my phone number on the signs and ask me, where's the house? They want to see it. And then I just let them know how close I am and what time the open house starts.
So the sign has your phone number, but it does not have the address.
No.
Okay.
And it doesn't have a time on it either.
Okay.
I put balloons on my signs, although I am starting to think I'm going to rework that because helium's getting harder and harder to get a hold of. I'm not sure what it will be, but something should make your sign stand out. Bring attention to it. I saw these things and I haven't worked out how I'm going to get it on the sign, but if I do, I'm happy to share it with you. They're like tassels. Kind of reminds me of the strips on the Christmas tree, tinsel.
Oh yeah.
At Hobby Lobby, they have red, white, and blue ones right now, and they're on a stick. And I'm thinking those will blow in the wind. I just can't figure out how to get the stick without using duct tape, which would be horrible. I need something that will stick inside the sign holder thing and hold that thing secure in the wind. Otherwise, and I'm probably going to lose a good number of them to kids. But it can't be more expensive than helium and balloons right now, because I would spend seriously $50 on open house on my balloons for all those signs. And now it's just even a matter of getting it. I have a helium tank in my garage, but it's costing me a lot of money. So I'm kind of not a big fan of that at the moment either. Sorry, usually I do this as we do the pages, but I'm just kind of skimming over where my best notes are for you.
It's okay. I don't know if my book is old or what, but it does have a question I'm interested in. It says, are there any reasons to not hold an open house?
If you don't want to make money.
Okay.
I mean, can you think of any reasons not to hold an open house?
No.
How about you? Can you think of any reasons not to hold an open house?
Well, that's why I'm asking.
If your seller doesn't want to. Some, especially through COVID, some of the sellers didn't want a lot of traffic through their houses. I warn my sellers when I list the house, and hopefully the listing agent, when I would do other people's, tells them any kind of valuable jewelry, take it away, hide it, put it in a box and put it someplace where nobody would look, and prescriptions, take them out, because there are people who go to open houses for those two purposes. And so, that needs to be taken care of. I haven't ever really looked to check to see if that was a problem. I've only had one where I knew for sure that's what they were doing, and they were younger boys. They came in and they split up right away. And luckily there was two of us there. And so we went after them. And as soon as we started following them, they went out. Wow. You can tell people who aren't there for, and I don't think you should be scared to tell them, that they need to go. But I just haven't had a lot of experience with it. I know that there are stories out there. I spend a lot of time, well, not a lot of time, but I've spent some time. There's a Utah realtor group that's just realtors in the group. It used to be called something else. I forget what it was, but they hit almost every topic. You can put in the search bar up there anything you want to know about. And I just read what other realtors are talking about and their experiences. If you put open houses in it, you'll get all kinds of stories that are told. But those are the exception to the rule stories, I think, a lot of times too. But I'm looking at the notes. They're going to be random now. Lights, I think, are extremely important in showing a house. So I make sure all my lights are on before the open house. I've really fluctuated on what I give out at the open houses anymore. I like some kind of fancy drink, whether it's Izzy and I brought kolaches for you today. They were hot. You can help yourself if you want to eat it now. There's bacon. Sorry, you should come to the class. I brought these for you. Bacon and jalapeno and Mexican in there. But I don't really serve nice, cute treats anymore. I mostly because I don't want them to make a mess in the house. So I definitely stay away from cookies. I tried those for a while. Mostly I do the candy. Jenna brought candy today, and something like that. It's going to get harder as it's hot now to carry that around in your car.
Yes. The Utah truffles.
Yeah.
I had a dish of these Utah truffles on the kitchen table, and I had water bottles sitting there. And
Perfect.
people walked in and they're like, wow, this is so professional. Oh, wow, thank you. I get to have one of those. And, it's just a little touch like, oh, I feel welcome.
I always put it by the sign-in sheet.
Mhm.
So while they're doing
Yeah.
something, it's amazing the agitation I get from people when I ask them to sign in. It is just shocking to me. And that's why a lot of times I get rid of the sign-in sheet and just don't use it. So a lot of times it just sits there and I don't ask people to sign in. But honestly, I think it's a great tool to find out if they're with an agent or not. It tells you whether to not waste your time, but pay a lot of attention to it. Because it's very important if they're with an agent that we're not trying to talk to them about the lender and their second opinion or whatever little thing you're going to connect with them on and give them your wisdom. We shouldn't be doing that with somebody with an agent. We shouldn't be talking to them about anything. If they have specific questions on whether this is a good deal or anything, really they need to talk to their agent about that. Because what if we say something and that agent calls us later and says, why did you tell my buyers this? I mean, especially if they've identified themselves with an agent, then that really gives you that to say to them. They really need to be talking, just your agent can call. I would be very careful about what I said. I would be very guarded with my conversation if I know they have an agent. I would want people to do the same for me too, if it was my clients. The next part of the lesson talks about the conversation starters. Do you guys have any good conversation starters? You gave some before; those were great. How about you for your open houses? How do you both start when they walk through the door? What do you say first?
So I think it's pretty easy to ask people if they have an agent. So I'll just say, hey, have you been looking for a while? You can sometimes tell, are you neighbors or, are you looking, have you been looking for a while? Do you live in Provo? Or, just ask them small talk, things like that. And then if they say they've been looking or they're really serious, I just ask them, are you working with an agent? And that they seem to know. I mean, they seem like they've been asked that question before. They're quick to answer it.
Well, and with the sign-in sheet too, if you have them sign right away, then that takes care of that part of it. And you can just glance at the sign-in sheet as soon as why they're doing it even. And if it'll say whether they have an agent or not. Then you don't have to even do the fishing questions. My question usually with them is I ask them how they found us today. Did you follow in the signs? Did you see us online? And the reason I ask that question is I need to know whether they know the price of the house, how big it is, and the square footage. And if they found me online, then they know all that. They've seen pictures. I usually will follow up with a funny question like, how's the house? It can be before or after. I always go for feedback. And I try to write it down so I can give my either the person I'm doing the open house for, the agent, so they can use it for their sellers if they want, or my seller. I want to give her feedback. I want to tell her how many people came through, what was the feedback that they gave. So I will always try to get something from them as they're going out the door, gauging it. But that usually when you ask somebody how they found it, they'll follow it up with their own information at that point. They'll say, I saw it on Utah Real Estate. My agent sent me. Or if they followed in my signs, then I know that I need to tell them, I need to go get them a sheet. And I usually have these sheets. And if using a lender, I'll have a lender sheet that shows a potential interest rate, payment, and everything. That's all with the sign-in sheet. So they can take that or not take that. They can take my card, not take my card. I keep all that stuff together with whatever their drink is. And I don't know what I'm going to use, honestly, for candy as it gets hotter, because those chocolates are going to melt.
No,
sure.
yeah, they do.
Especially when you're putting out lots of signs. I talked about a lot of this stuff already.
I wonder if just hard candies through the summer might be a better.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not as impressive, but maybe you could find, or even like you can get those nicely wrapped little mints. I don't know. There's things you could probably do.
I up my game on my drinks sometimes if I'm not going to have candy. Like I do the Izzy's or any kind of, especially for the more high end houses. We bought last year a cooler. It cost like $250 from Home Depot, but it kept the stuff cold in it. And then we got the fancy bottles. if they have a pool, it's really nice out by the pool. I'm telling you, the darn cooler of the fancy bottles of soda got me more people were nice. I swear I got 2 listing appointments off of it. It was just like a fun connection where the people were very appreciative. And now suddenly their guard's way off. And, I'm this wonderful lady who's giving out nice sodas that they don't normally get to drink. I made sure I had a mix of, some healthy stuff, and it really touched people. So I learned that day, after that, even at the regular open houses, I have something that sets me apart from, whatever it is. What's that sparkling water that has a flavor to it?
Oh yeah,
Seems to like.
Perrier or something.
Yeah, any of those. There's all kinds of them. Yeah, something that makes you just look nice, and nobody even takes them most of the time, which is nice too. Then I didn't put out a lot of money.
So what about donuts? Because I know cookies can crumble all over the
Donuts
place.
do too.
Do they?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and the worst part is the kid starts doing it and
Yeah.
drags it all over the place and puts their fingers on, especially if somebody else is listing. I
Mhm.
won't have anything that they can make a mess of. Yeah, I've tried just about everything bakery wise.
Mhm.
Sometimes if it's your listing, you know the owner really well, then it's fine. Have you done anything where you guys went crazy at the open house and served, something like hot or,
No, I've never done that.
yeah, I always thought it would be fun, but especially once in a while I'll have the high end ones. So, but I haven't done it. And I don't think it makes any difference. I'm telling you, those expensive sodas were worth every
That's a good
penny of it.
idea.
Yep. Fortunately, I didn't get either one of the listing appointments I went on, but I had the opportunity. It was really good. I think a really cool thing to do, which is what we're doing right now, is talking about what works for us. I think it's fun when I see open house signs and I have free time to go in as just not identify myself, just to go walk through and see how other people are presenting themselves, because that's what your people that are coming to yours are experiencing before they get to you. I've gone in quite a few where they never got up from their computer. They acknowledge that they're in the house, and that's
Really?
it. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I've gone to other ones where they just were spectacular. I mean, just spectacular. I like to see what they use for their brochures and stuff too. I don't have it in here. It's not my car. For my higher end, and I imagine Ashley does the same thing. It's a fold out brochure. I saw that at an open house one day. I went, oh, I'm gonna need this. So I took the sample and took it to the printer, and that's what I use now. If it's anything really over about 700,000 or 800,000, I do the fancy brochure. It doesn't cost too much. I have a really good printer in Provo. Quick printing. I don't know if you guys ever use them, but they're phenomenal. It's a husband-wife team, and it's on the southwest side of Provo, behind Sam's Club. Highly recommend them.
Great, good to know. Thanks.
You bet. Oh, that's the end of my notes. What time are we? 10:43. We did that fast. Okay, so what else can we share with each other that we know from our open house experiences? Talked about treats. We talked about what we can do before the open house.
Tell me your tips,
Yes.
Rhea. Is it Rhea? I'm so sorry. Right. Your name's not on there
Rhea.
anymore. Rhea.
Oh, it's not?
No.
That's weird. I changed it so it says my name.
There it
nice.
is. Rhea. Okay. I would love to learn from you because I'm a new agent still. So
Well, I've done what you were just saying. I've gone to other open houses, like especially in St. George, to learn how things work in different areas. It is very different in different cities for sure. And then I once had a serious fixer-upper that I listed, and we weren't sure if doing an open house would be a good idea, but that was the most attended open house I've ever had. It was crazy. And the house was terrible. Like it smelled bad, it was hard to be in the house that long, but we had probably 40 groups come through during that open house. And yeah, that just connected me with a lot of people. The other thing is I like to go when my clients are looking at houses. I like to, if there's an open house on a new listing, I like to go to the open house with my clients, with my buyers. So I really don't like door knocking. So okay. I always talk myself out of that. I'm sure.
Me too. We should go together then.
That's the thing. I thought it would be easier, like if our team went, then it would be fun. But by myself, I really don't want to.
I have severe anxiety before I go door knocking. I even at it. I've got gone with Sheila a few times and we'll get done with like 5 houses and go, all right, I'm done. That's enough. Just because we can't be done already. It's like, oh, that's too bad. I don't know why either, because I've never really had a bad experience at it. So
I haven't been door knocking yet, but I find every opportunity I have to, I know people who invite me on a hike or things like that. So I recently just got 2 leads off of going on a hike. I went on a hike. There were only 5 people there. There was a woman I didn't know yet, and she's just moving here from San Francisco. And so she's about to move into a rental. She's been living with family. I'm like, well, why don't do you want to buy? Are you interested? We're on a hike. So we're talking for like 3
Sure.
hours, right? So I told her all about real estate. She's like, well, I just don't understand. I've never bought a house before. So I'm talking to her all about everything. Like, the Utah government has this new program starting in July 1st that, they'll give $20,000 to a new home buy, first time home buyer, and just all these different programs that are going on. Oh, this lender will give you this incentive, or, I mean, there's a lender who, Josh Romney's company will, through June, through this month, will give a free refinance anytime in the next 3 years, or just things like that. That's really, really attractive right now with the high rates. Different lenders are doing some pretty nice incentives. So I'm trying to talk to lenders and get their incentives, and then pass those on to people who, are interested in real estate, but they're like, well, I just don't think I don't like the rates. I mean, the media makes the rates look so terrible, and it's like, well, historically, it's really not that bad. It's okay. Like, we'll survive this, right? And so anyway, on that hike, I spoke with this woman, and so I had a listing appointment with her for this morning or yesterday morning, but she got sick. She has a sinus infection, so we've rescheduled. But when I went to help her move, it was a day when I was just like, I am so exhausted. I'm a single mom, and I was like, I was at the end of my rope, but I'm like, I'm gonna go help her move anyway. I went and helped her move, and I met another woman who is an investor, and she has a townhouse and she wants to sell it and buy a duplex.
wow.
And so, yeah, it's like, I feel like that's kind of my version of door knocking, is just any opportunity I have to go out in the community and serve or be a part of, an activity or something like that. And I just, while I'm there, I talk to everybody. I mean, I went to like a church institute thing for singles on Wednesday and picked up 2 new leads and made 4 new friends. And it's like, as long as everybody asks you, what do you do, right? And so I just say, well, I'm a realtor. And they say, oh, what's the market like right now? And as long as you have something to tell them right away, you can. Anyway, this is not open house stuff.
No, I think that's great. The open house door knocking for me is almost, especially like this one where I'm on my 3rd one with her, and she desperately wants to sell. She's talking about pulling the listing on July 1st, which what you just said just clicked to me. The reason she should go past July 1st is going to be all those people with that money to spend. So she wants to get through July. But she's just panicked. She has to go to Huntsman now 4 days a week, and it's a huge commute for her, and she's just done. But she has a lot of money in that townhome, and if she rents it, it's just an increase of 200. So the door knocking for that is an invitation to the open house, so it doesn't seem as much pressure to me.
That makes sense.
I'm not trying to see if I can sell them anything. I'm handing them an invitation to an open house, and so
That's a good idea.
and that leads to conversations. I've done that lots, way back when. So I got to for this one. But that's an easy thing. If you have an open house to hand a flyer out to and an invitation. I had a lady yell at me though, can't you really read the no soliciting sign? And I stopped doing it for a while after that. But I'm not soliciting, really. I'm inviting you to an open house. And I'm not trying to sell you anything. She goes, well, isn't the open house a house you're trying to sell me?
Oh, you're like, no, you only live in the neighborhood.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my goodness.
But
well, I think that type of door knocking I probably should do.
Yes.
Open houses.
Yes. Yes.
And I think the condo, I was doing that type of thing, just being out in the parking lot. But in a neighborhood, I probably need to be knocking doors or talking to the neighbor. If it's the right time of year, you don't have to door knock. Everybody's out in their yards, right?
Well, if you go, that's the thing, Saturday mornings,
Uh-huh.
if they have yards, Saturday mornings,
Mhm.
everybody's doing yard work. That
Mhm.
is the perfect time at
Mhm.
9 o'clock Saturday morning or 8:30 Saturday
Mhm.
morning to get a bunch of people outside, and you can just do that.
Yep.
But those people are almost all going to, well, everybody knows a realtor, but I don't know if they're so inclined to use unless they have a, like, I am not afraid of anybody going to talk to any of my clients. I can't imagine, although that's not, now I said that and here we go. I had somebody door knock one of my clients who I had sold them their townhome. She is my daughter's best friend's sister. I gave her a crib when she had a baby that year, and they let the door knocker sell their townhome and the house they bought. She had to see
Wow.
me at the next family event that we all attended to it. And she goes, I feel like we need to have a conversation. I was like, you think? She goes, oh, but Trevor did it. I was like, she goes, and we regretted it right away. He wasn't good like you are. I was like, yeah, that's not making me feel any better. But
Wow.
so it does happen occasionally. But most of my clients, I would say it would be hard for anybody to take them from me.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
You know,
You're amazing.
well, you have a relationship with your people. You just do. You go, it's such a cool job because you get to have that bond with them on a
Yeah.
very important decision in their life and you protect them. And I do. I go out over and above. I think about them all day long. And, I don't have kids anymore. So
Mhm.
it really, I do. I lay in bed at night thinking about what else we could do and,
Mhm.
what else they need. I don't move anybody though.
Mhm.
Now that you got something from that. I can really draw my line at the moving stuff. I
Mhm.
disappear when it's time. I have provided boxes,
Mhm.
but I haven't moved anybody.
Yep.
Or I haven't painted in anybody's houses. I helped them find a painter. I even paid for a helper painting on one of my clients
Wow.
just because they were suffering so bad getting it all together.
Oh, that's good.
But I think that's all I have. I wish I had more things to tell you. I mean, mostly, open houses work. They just do. I mean, in every way.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you. I have to run anyway. So I appreciate all that you've done today. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Rhea.
You too. Bye.
Bye.